I get a lot of emails and comments from men on this channel and on my website asking me how to deal with the discrepancy between their sexual history and their wife's sexual history. In other words, a lot of husbands have not been with a lot of women in their past, while their wife has been with significantly more partners. In today's video, I'm going to address a specific comment relating to how to deal with this discrepancy between your sexual history and your wife's. My name is Zachary Stockill, and since 2013, I've been helping men and women from all over the world overcome retroactive jealousy and save their relationships. If you'd like more information, you can visit my website at retroactivejealousy.com. All right, question that I received on this channel a little while ago. Quote, I was sexually inexperienced when I met my wife, and my wife is not sexually inexperienced. My wife had an unacceptable number of partners from my perspective. How do I get over this? My perspective is twisted because I was very inexperienced when I met her. Thank you for your question, anonymous commenter. My first point is the most important thing I can tell you in this video. It's something I tell men and women all the time. And the message is, you are not a victim of your partner's past sex life. There are a lot of people on the internet who want to make you feel justified in feeling like a victim, who want to encourage a victim mentality, who want to encourage you to think of yourself as a victim because maybe they get more views and they build more allegiance with their audience that way. I don't know how that works. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know I'm focused on actions, I'm focused on solutions, and I'm focused on resisting the victim mentality as much as you can. So if there is one iota of your subconscious or your being that is thinking like a victim, you need to eliminate it. Your partner's past is not your partner's fault. You shouldn't be blaming them for the way that you feel about their past. Your partner's past is simply their past. They have a right to that. They have a right to their mistakes and their triumphs and everything in between, the same way you have a right to your past and the decisions that you've made. So you are not a victim of your partner's past sex life. That said, that absolutely crucial point out of the way, of course I get it. I understand being a man and feeling relatively sexually inexperienced compared to your wife. I can imagine how that would feel because I'm a man and I can put myself in that place. This is not an issue that I have experienced within my personal life, but I've worked with, at this point, hundreds of one-on-one clients who are married to women who had more partners than they have. A major myth about retroactive jealousy is this idea that retroactive jealousy always comes up when you have less experience sexually or romantically than your partner. I can promise you that's not true. Some retroactive jealousy sufferers write to me and they have 10 times the number of past partners than their partner. And guess what? They're still struggling with the painful, unwanted, intrusive thoughts, the mental movies, the curiosity. They're still dealing with the exact same symptoms that you are probably dealing with. So I mentioned that to help you realize that, let's say by some stroke of magic or whatever, you had the exact same number of partners in the past as your partner did. There's still a very good chance you'd be struggling with retroactive jealousy. You may still be struggling with the intrusive thoughts and the judgments and all the rest. The numbers in terms of your sexual experience compared to your partner may not matter as much as you probably imagine they matter. I'm also reminded of one of my favorite quotes, and the quote is, you can have almost everything you want in life, but you probably can't have everything you want in life. In other words, don't go looking for perfection in a relationship, in a partner, in a situation, in a city you live in a job. There's always going to be something that isn't your favorite thing in the world. And your wife, for example, may be incredible in all kinds of ways. She may be a doting mother and a wonderful lover and a supportive partner and all these things, and you may not love her past. Everyone's going to have something that you don't love about them. Don't go looking for perfection. It's a pathway to misery. I think if you're feeling this way, it's very important to realize that you are a free man. You have options, you have choices. And I mention that because a lot of men in your situation think of themselves as having no options. They think that they're stuck with their wife forever and there's no escape, and they just are destined to let this thought of their partner, being more experienced, ruin their life and ruin their relationship, but there's no escape. It's very important in moments like this in life to realize that you have options. You're not powerless, you're not a victim. And your options, as far as I can tell, are one of two things. So option one is to change the situation. Option two is to change the story you're telling yourself. I'll get back to the story in a moment, but first, option 1, the situation. So you have the option to walk away from your wife. Of course, that's your right as a free individual. Now, I'm guessing because you're writing to me, that's probably not the option you want. You probably don't want to destroy what is otherwise a great marriage based on this one thing. Maybe that is how you feel, but my gut tells me that if you're writing a comment to me on this channel and the way you phrased your comment, you probably don't want to leave your wife. But by the way, as a brief aside, I don't judge people who feel like they fundamentally need more sexual experience. My fundamental value in this regard is just honesty. If you need more experience, if you want to go off and change your life, everyone has that right. My only concern is that you're honest with people and you're willing to accept the consequences. Sometimes men in your position write to me asking for my permission, like, is it okay if I cheat? Should I cheat on my wife? Maybe that'll solve my problem. And of course, that's not going to solve the problem. It's going to create more problems. And I don't advocate lying and cheating in any regard. But it's important for you to realize that you have that option. I'm guessing you don't want to leave your wife, and thus you have no other choice but to go to option 2, which is to change the story that you're telling yourself about this situation. To change this story, first you have to identify what story you're telling yourself about the situation. And by the way, when I use this word story, I'm not being patronizing or sarcastic or anything like that. We all tell ourselves stories all the time about everything. Our perspectives, our vision of life, that's how we make sense of the world. That's how we get through life. And you're probably telling yourself a very specific story or a certain narrative about this issue. You may be telling yourself you're a victim, for example. You may be telling yourself that your wife is X, Y, and Z. You may be telling yourself that you're never going to get over this. You may be telling yourself that you have all kinds of regrets about things that you didn't do when you were single. Whatever story you're telling yourself, the first step is to identify it exactly. What am I telling myself about this situation? The next question is, how can I start to change it? The way to change it is simply to introduce additional information into the mix. So for example, you can start telling yourself about all the reasons you value your wife, and you can start telling yourself, well, you know what? Maybe my wife needed those experiences to realize how wonderful I am. You can start telling yourself maybe that guy Zach on YouTube is right and people really can work through this horrible problem. You can start telling yourself that you're the type of man who owns problems rather than letting his life be defined by problems. You're a man who owns solutions, who goes looking for solutions, who takes action, and who actually works to change his perspectives when necessary. These are just a few examples, but I hope this has got you thinking on ways you can start to change the story you're telling yourself. Because really, that's the main thing you should probably be focusing on right now if you really want to solve this problem. How can you start telling yourself a better story? And as always, as in all things, whenever you're feeling nervous or angry or stressed out or whatever, bring the focus back to what is within your sphere of influence, and as much as possible, try to disregard everything else. So what is within your sphere of influence in this particular situation? What's within your sphere of influence is, number one, the story that you can tell yourself, as we just covered, the narrative that you're going to choose to buy into regarding this problem, regarding this issue moving forward. You have control over the story that you decide to tell yourself. You have control over the meaning that you make out of anything that happens in your life. Secondly, you can start addressing your insecurities if you have insecurities relating to your sexual experience or anything else. The point is, you need to focus on what you can actually control, what you can actually change. And you need to realize that focusing on the alternative, wasting all kinds of energy worrying about past events that you can't change or worrying about a future that may never come, is a complete waste of time. The most miserable people in the world are the ones who spend most of their time focusing on what they can't change. So I hope this all helps you work this issue out and sort this issue out. And just know that you're not alone. Again, I get a lot of men in your position who write to me, men I've worked with in private coaching, who have the same issue, who have this issue where they're concerned because their wife has been with more people in the past than they have. If you want someone to talk through this issue, if you want to know how to actually move through this issue and start getting clarity and perspective on what really matters, I hope you'll consider signing up for one-on-one coaching. You'll find a link to work with me privately, one-on-one, in the description of this video. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for your attention. If you got anything out of this video, please take a moment to let me know by clicking the like button below. I'll also ask you to please leave a comment telling me what you think. And while you're at it, please be sure you are subscribed to my channel to be notified of new videos moving forward. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.